Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
It's great to be back.
Today we're going to be looking at the career of Zendaya.
Yeah, we're going way beyond all the headlines and really trying to understand,
Exactly.
her journey.
And we've got this awesome article as a jumping off point.
Zendaya, rising above challenges and inspiring a generation.
It's a big title.
It's a big title for, I think, a pretty big career.
Yeah, and it covers it all.
It really does. From,
What's in it?
kind of early work all the way up through some of her recent successes and controversies.
I mean, you think about it.
Yeah.
She started with Disney Channel Shake It Up.
Right.
Huge for that generation.
Oh, absolutely.
Like so many of us probably watched that show.
For sure.
And then to go from that to a role like Rue Bennett in Euphoria.
Which is such a
I mean, talk about a departure.
totally different vibe.
Right.
It's dark. It's gritty.
It's real.
It's real.
It's raw, and she won 2 Emmys for that role.
And became the youngest two-time winner for lead actress in a drama series.
Which is just wild to think about
Right.
when you consider where she started.
It's a long way from Shake It Up to Euphoria.
Right, and it's interesting because that willingness to push boundaries and take risks,
Yeah,
it seems like that's something that's really defined her career.
I think you're right. And you see it even in how she handles public controversies. Like,
Oh, yeah.
that whole Oscars incident where the TV host made those
Those are some rough comments.
really insensitive remarks about her hair.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were waiting to see how she'd respond to that.
For sure.
Because it could have gone in a totally different direction.
Right. She could have gotten really angry and defensive.
Which would have been understandable.
Totally.
But she didn't.
No.
She used that moment to talk about cultural sensitivity.
Exactly. And on a huge platform.
And I think what was so impressive was that
Yeah.
she did it in a way that felt like she was trying to educate people,
Yeah.
not just shame them or call them out.
I think a lot of celebrities might have taken that opportunity to just...
Put them on blast.
Right, just like, how could you?
Exactly.
But she turned it into this teaching moment.
Totally.
And that takes a lot of maturity, and I think it really helps shift the conversation.
Yeah, and it probably helped her when she got some backlash for being cast as MJ in Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
There were a lot of fans who were resistant to the idea.
They were saying,
Yeah.
she shouldn't be MJ. MJ has red hair in the comics.
Right. They wanted to stay true to the source material.
Yeah, and there's always that tension in adaptations.
Always.
Do you stay completely faithful to the original, or do you allow yourself to reimagine things a bit?
Especially when you're dealing with something like Spider-Man, which has been adapted so many times.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But ultimately,
Yeah.
Zendaya won people over.
She did.
Didn't she?
I think she really just focused on her performance and let that speak for itself.
And it worked.
Yeah.
So we've got the talent,
Absolutely.
the resilience,
For sure.
this willingness to challenge expectations.
Yeah. And I think what's really fascinating to me
Yeah.
is that we're also starting to see this real business savvy side of her emerging.
That's right. Like with her move into producing.
It's not just about being in front of the camera anymore.
Exactly. She wants to be involved behind the scenes.
She wants to help shape the stories that are being told.
And that $10 million bonus she got for Spider-Man, No Way Home.
I mean,
Yeah, that probably gives her a little bit of leverage
to say the least.
to choose projects that she really believes in.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think we're seeing a real evolution in terms of how she's approaching her career.
And it's not just about the producing.
No.
It's also the fashion.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this recent Louis Vuitton deal, that is huge.
That's major. And it makes sense when you consider her other partnerships with brands like Lancôme and Bulgari.
Yeah, I mean, those are not small names.
Not at all.
It seems like she's really solidifying her status as a fashion icon.
It's not just about being a celebrity anymore. She's like a tastemaker, someone who's actually shaping trends.
And it's all connected, isn't it?
I think so.
Like, the acting success has given her this platform.
Yeah.
And she's using that platform to move into these new spaces, like
Okay.
fashion producing, even activism.
Which was what makes her story so compelling.
I think so, too.
It's not just this like linear path.
Yeah,
It's multi-dimensional.
it really is. So we've got the talent, the resilience, the business smarts, the style icon status.
Yeah.
And she's still only in her 20s.
It's crazy to think about.
It makes you wonder what drives her.
Right, like what are the values behind all of this?
What makes her tick?
I think a big part of what drives her is that commitment to using her platform for good.
Yeah.
It goes beyond just aligning with brands.
Right.
It's real, genuine advocacy work.
Well, and when we talk about Zendaya as a role model,
Yeah.
I think it's not just because she's talented and successful.
Right.
It's that she's actively using her voice to speak up for things that matter,
Exactly.
like Racial equality, mental health awareness.
And she's not just making statements.
Right.
She's actually sharing her own experiences.
Yeah.
Like when she talked about her struggles with anxiety.
Which I think was huge,
Yeah.
especially for all those young people who look up to her.
Absolutely.
It normalizes those struggles.
Right.
It makes it okay to not be okay.
And it kind of goes back to that Oscars moment, too.
Yeah.
Like she could have just brushed off those comments.
Yeah.
But she chose to educate, to start a conversation.
And that takes courage.
For sure.
Makes you wonder
Yeah.
if that's part of what draws her to certain roles, too.
Oh, interesting.
Like Euphoria.
Yeah.
That show is not afraid to tackle some really tough topics.
No, it deals with addiction and identity and trauma.
And her performance as Rue is just so raw and vulnerable.
It really is, and I think it resonated with a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it speaks to maybe a desire to explore these complex human experiences.
I think you're right.
And to give a voice to those who might not feel seen or heard.
Exactly. And it brings us back to those values we were talking about.
Like authenticity.
Yeah, like she's not afraid to be herself.
Even when it means challenging expectations.
We're getting vulnerable.
Right, and resilience.
Totally.
Like she's faced criticism and setbacks.
Yeah, but she always seems to come back stronger.
It's like she learns and grows from those experiences.
Which is a powerful message.
It is.
Especially in a world where we're constantly bombarded with images of perfection.
Social media.
Right? It's this reminder that it's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah.
It's okay to face challenges.
As long as we learn from them.
Exactly. And, it's not to say that she hasn't achieved incredible success.
Of course not.
But it's how she defines success that's interesting.
Right. It's not just about the awards or the money.
No, it's about using her platform for good.
And we see that in her career, too.
Yeah, she could easily just stick to acting, but she's branching out.
Producing fashion design.
Yeah, she's constantly evolving.
It's like she's not afraid to step outside her comfort zone.
To learn new things, to push those boundaries.
And I think that's inspiring in itself.
It is.
It reminds us that we don't have to limit ourselves.
Right.
We can pursue multiple passions.
Absolutely.
We can always be growing and evolving.
So we've got authenticity, resilience, a commitment to growth.
And social good.
Do you think those are like the core values that drive her?
I think so.
And what can we learn from that?
I think what's so compelling is that she's embodying these values, not just through her words,
Right.
but through her actions, her choices, her entire journey.
It shows us that success isn't a destination, it's a process.
It's a journey.
And it's about so much more than achieving fame or fortune.
It's about using your influence to make a positive impact.
Yeah.
And I think it's a message that really resonates,
It does.
no matter who you are or what you do.
Absolutely. And I think as we move into this final part of our deep dive, it's important to consider how Zendaya's story can inspire us to find our own paths, to embrace our own values, and to use our own voices to make a difference.
It's funny, we've talked about all these amazing things she's already accomplished.
Right.
But it feels like she's just getting started.
Yeah, she's still got so much ahead of her.
And we've got Dune, Part 2, and Challengers coming up.
Oh, yeah. Two very different projects.
They are.
But I think they both show her range.
Okay, so let's talk Dune first.
Okay?
That world is just so visually stunning.
Oh, it's incredible.
And her character, Shani,
Yeah.
she's fierce.
She is.
She's a survivor.
And it sounds like her role is even bigger in the sequel.
Which is exciting. And, Dune is interesting because it tackles these really big themes.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Environmentalism,
Colonialism.
dangers of unchecked power.
It makes you wonder
It does.
if those themes are part of what draws her to these projects.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about her commitment to social causes. So it wouldn't be surprising if she's also seeking out roles that allow her to explore those themes on screen.
Yeah, and then you've got Challengers, which is a completely different kind of story.
I know.
A tennis coach.
It's so different from anything we've seen her do.
It shows a real willingness to experiment.
To push herself.
Yeah, to take on new challenges.
It makes you think about what it means to be taken seriously as an actor in Hollywood.
Oh, interesting.
Can you be a fashion icon?
Yeah.
A producer, an activist?
And still be considered a serious actor.
Right. And it seems like Zendaya is determined to prove that you can.
I think she's redefining what serious even means.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not about fitting into a mold.
Right.
It's about using your platform to tell stories that matter.
To connect with people on a human level.
Exactly.
Which brings us back to that question we asked earlier.
Yeah.
What aspect of Zendaya's journey resonated with you the most?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I think for me, It's that reminder that we don't have to choose just one path.
Oh, I like that.
We can be multifaceted, we can evolve, and we can use our influence
Whatever that may be.
to make a positive impact on the world.
I think that's a great takeaway. And you know what I find so inspiring about her story?
What's that?
It's that it feels attainable.
Yeah.
It's not about being born with extraordinary talent or privilege.
Right.
It's about making choices, putting in the work, and staying true to yourself.
And who knows what the future holds for her?
I mean, she could direct.
She could write.
Maybe she'll run for office someday.
Right.
But the possibilities are endless.
Whatever she does, I have a feeling she's going to keep surprising us.
Oh, for sure.
Challenging conventions.
And inspiring a whole new generation.
Well said.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for our deep dive into the career of Zendaya.
I think so too.
Thanks for joining us.
And until next time, keep exploring and keep asking those big questions.